Considering the faces they brought in, Jeff, do you see them challenging for the Premier League title?
No.
No, that's not enough.
Liverpool have spent hundreds of millions rebuilding this squad. But the biggest decision Andoni Iraola might make this season isn't about Wirtz, Isak or Szoboszlai. It's about choosing between two centre-backs.
So many times last season, Liverpool fans were throwing up their hands. They didn't like the football they were watching. They didn't see what they were trying to do. They weren't.
Ronald Araújo, a Barcelona captain with a 9-figure release clause and a Champions League pedigree. Or Jérémy Jacquet, a 20-year-old Frenchman Liverpool paid up to £60 million for back in February, before Araujo was ever part of the conversation. That sounds like it should be a simple call. It isn't. And by the end of this, you'll understand why the answer isn't as obvious as either name on paper suggests. Let's start with why this decision exists at all.
No, listen, Liverpool are actually trying to rejuvenate under Iraola. They're trying to improve from what Arne Slot left them in, which was not necessarily a bad situation.
Because it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Liverpool's centre-back picture has been in genuine flux for over a year. Ibrahima Konaté let his contract run down and left for Real Madrid on a free transfer this summer, taking his pace, power and 5 seasons of Premier League experience out the door for nothing. Virgil van Dijk remains the defensive spine of the side, but he turns 35 next summer, and Liverpool were cautious enough about his workload that they left him out of the travelling squad for part of pre-season in the United States after a taxing campaign. Joe Gomez has been managing a muscle injury through the summer. Giovanni Leone, an 18-year-old signed as part of the succession plan, tore his ACL on his actual debut in the Carabao Cup. That's the backdrop. Not a settled defence looking to add a luxury option, but a defence with genuine, immediate depth problems heading into a title race. That context matters enormously because it explains why Liverpool moved for Araujo at all, on loan, with an option but not an obligation to make it permanent, in a deal ESPN reported was driven directly by Gomez, Leone and Jacquet, all working their way back from injuries simultaneously. This wasn't Liverpool hunting for an upgrade, it was Liverpool covering a genuine crisis. Now let's actually get into who these two players are, starting with Araujo, because his profile is the more established of the two by a wide margin. Araujo is 27, has made 213 first-team appearances for Barcelona and captains the club. He's a 3-time La Liga winner, someone Barcelona once tied down with a contract carrying a €1 billion release clause when they were desperate to keep him. Physically, he's built around aggression and recovery pace, a defender who reads danger aggressively rather than simply reacting to it. Comfortable stepping out of the back line to close down attackers early. At his best, he's exactly the kind of centre-back who thrives in duels, strong in the air, powerful in the tackle, and quick enough to recover if he's initially beaten. But here's where it gets interesting, because that description is Araujo at his peak, and this version of him arrives at Liverpool carrying real question marks. He suffered a serious injury setback that disrupted his rhythm and form, and it kept him out of Uruguay's World Cup squad entirely this summer, a tournament he would have expected to anchor. At Barcelona last season under Hansi Flick, he found himself behind Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Martín in the pecking order for large stretches. A genuinely damning detail for a player of his reputation and wage level. A captain who can't hold down a starting spot at his own club is not a small red flag. It's the central reason this move happened at all. Araujo accepted Liverpool's proposal specifically because he realised he wouldn't get the playing time he wanted at Camp Nou. That sounds convincing as a reason to be cautious about him. Now look at what Jacquet actually offers, because this is where the comparison shifts. Jacquet is 20 years old, signed from Rennes in a deal worth up to £60 million. Agreed back in February, months before Liverpool ever moved for Araujo. He began his career as a midfielder, modelling himself on Paul Pogba, before Rennes scouts redirected him into defence, and that background shows up clearly in how he actually plays. He's right-footed, 6'2", and by his own description, calm on the ball to the point of looking almost nonchalant, a trait multiple scouts have directly compared to Van Dijk's own composure in possession. The underlying numbers back that comparison up in a way that's genuinely striking for a 20-year-old. He completed just over 90% of his passes in League One last season, with a final third pass accuracy only 3.5 percentage points behind Van Dijk's own figure across the same period. He ranks in the top 4% of centre-backs across Europe's top 5 leagues for interceptions per 90 minutes, at 1.71, and the top 18% for tackles. He finished second at Rennes for ground duels won at 62%, and one detailed statistical profile placed him above the 70th percentile across nearly every ball-carrying metric available, including chance-creating carries, meaning he doesn't just move the ball forward safely, he actively creates danger doing it. That sounds like an obvious case for Jacquet. Now here's the complication nobody's factoring in properly. Jacquet has barely kicked a ball for Liverpool. A shoulder problem picked up in the final days before his move to Anfield was completed prematurely ended his season at Rennes and has continued disrupting his pre-season since. His planned Liverpool debut against Leeds was delayed because of ongoing discomfort, and as of the most recent reporting, Iraola is still waiting to see him alongside Van Dijk in training before the season opener at Newcastle on the 23rd of August. This isn't a fully fit, ready-to-go alternative. It's a genuinely talented but currently unavailable one. This is where the debate completely changes, because it stops being purely about who's the better footballer and becomes about who's actually able to play meaningful minutes right now. Let's get into the tactical fit specifically, because Iraola's system places very particular demands on his centre-backs that neither player's reputation alone can answer. Built over 3 seasons at Bournemouth, Iraola's football depends on a hybrid press, compact and zonal until the ball's forced wide, then flipping into aggressive man-marking pressure. Crucially, his centre-backs are instructed to follow, dropping forwards aggressively rather than sitting passively off the ball. A genuinely high-risk defensive approach that leaves space in behind if the timing's wrong. It demands recovery pace, aggression in duels, and the composure to play out from the back under pressure rather than simply clearing danger long. On paper, Araujo's aggressive, duel-heavy style maps naturally onto that demand. He's built to follow a forward into space and win the physical battle when he gets there, but there's a real tension worth naming, honestly. A system built on stepping out aggressively punishes any hesitation or lapse in recovery pace severely, and Araujo's fitness and sharpness after a lost season are genuinely unproven variables heading into the most physically demanding football he may have played in years. Jacquet's profile fits a slightly different part of the same system. His numbers around defending large spaces, reading danger early, and recovering ground quickly with what one detailed scouting report described as a rapid recovery speed and long, powerful stride suggest he's built to cover for exactly the kind of high-risk positioning Iraola's press creates. Combine that with his genuinely elite passing numbers for his age, and you have a defender who could theoretically both anchor the high line and progress possession the moment it's recovered, exactly the two-way profile Iraola's transition-heavy football depends on. The problem, again, isn't the theory. It's that none of it has been tested in a competitive Liverpool shirt yet. Now let's talk business, because the financial picture adds another layer entirely. Araujo's move is structured as a loan with an option, not an obligation, to make it permanent. Liverpool are covering his full salary for the season without committing long-term capital. A low-risk, low-commitment way to add proven Champions League experience while retaining the flexibility to walk away if it doesn't work out. Jacquet, by contrast, represents a genuine long-term investment, up to £60 million for a 20-year-old on a 5-year contract with a club option to extend it further. That's Liverpool betting real money on projected development rather than immediate certainty. From a pure resale and squad planning perspective, Jacquet is the asset Liverpool actually own and need to develop regardless of what happens with Araujo this season. Every appearance he doesn't get this year is development time lost on an expensive long-term investment. Araujo, meanwhile, is essentially a low-cost insurance policy, valuable precisely because he doesn't require Liverpool to sacrifice anything if he underperforms or the loan simply isn't extended. There's another reason almost nobody is talking about here, and it's worth raising directly. signing 5 centre-backs aged 20 or under in a single 6-month window, as Liverpool did between last summer and this January, Leone and Ndiaye, Ndukwe, Adekoya and Jacquet, tells you the actual long-term plan was always built around youth development, not marquee reputation. Araujo's arrival doesn't really fit that broader pattern. It looks much more like a pragmatic, short-term patch for a genuine injury emergency than a considered part of the club's long-term defensive architecture. Let's Stillman both sides properly here, because plenty of reasonable Liverpool fans land on opposite conclusions. The case for Araujo starting is straightforward. He's a proven performer at the highest level, someone who's captained one of the biggest clubs in world football and delivered in genuinely high-pressure matches for years. Against a title race with Champions League football layered on top, experience and composure under pressure carry real value that a 20-year-old, however statistically impressive, simply hasn't had the chance to prove yet in matches that actually matter. The case for Jacquet is equally serious. His underlying numbers at just 20 years old and in what was effectively his first season of major senior minutes are genuinely comparable to Van Dijk's own passing figures. Scouts and journalists who've watched him closely describe exactly the kind of calm, ball-playing profile Liverpool's system is built around. If his shoulder issue clears and he gets a proper run of fitness, there's a real argument he represents Liverpool's actual long-term partner for Van Dijk, rather than a season-long stopgap. So here's where this actually lands. The decision isn't really about who the better footballer is in the abstract, it's about who gives Iraola the best chance of winning football matches right now, at the start of a season that opens at St James's Park on the 23rd of August. And once you look at the evidence rather than the reputations attached to each name, the answer becomes surprisingly clear, at least for these opening weeks. Araujo starts not because his underlying tactical fit is definitively superior, but because he's actually available, already has senior experience inside a genuinely demanding footballing environment. And Jacquet, whatever his ceiling, is still working his way back from an injury that's already delayed his Liverpool career before it's properly begun. The longer-term picture is a different question entirely. If Jacquet's shoulder clears and his underlying numbers translate into the Premier League, the way his passing statistics suggest they could, this debate may look completely different by January. But for now, availability has decided what talent alone couldn't.